Good afternoon, good evening, hello, wherever you are in the world. I am so delighted today to be in the office of Philadelphia City Council Person at Large, the Honorable Miss Sharon Vaughn. And we're going to have a little discussion today about a few things and have a little fun talking with our council person that we are not always afforded an opportunity to speak about. So without any further introduction, allow me to introduce Miss Sharon Vaughn, the Honorable Councilperson Sharon Vaughn.
Hey, Steph. Hey, Stan.
Hello.
Good to be here with you.
So the first thing I guess I need to ask, to make sure I'm not making any mistakes, is would you like councilperson or council? What is the exact title for this wonderful office?
It is council member.
Council member
Mm-hmm.
at large.
At large.
Very important, very important. So we are so honored to be here in your office today with you, like I said earlier, and I want to just go ahead and jump right into it because I know that your time is valuable, and we don't have a little time.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a lot of listeners that may not know who you are for whatever reason. And I would like for you, if you could, in about 2 or 3 minutes, if you could take us on a journey as a public servant here in Philadelphia and how that started for you and what has brought you to this point today.
Oh, absolutely. I guess, well, I know it started about 33, 34 years ago. I was working at the University of Pennsylvania Veterinary School, and Wilson Good was running for mayor at the time. And I got so interested in him becoming our mayor, our first African American. And his wife worked there as well, Velma, for Dean Marshak. So I started volunteering and putting the word out to my friends that worked for the city. At that time, it was a woman named Hope Smart that worked for the sheriff's office. I started telling her if she heard of anything to let me know. And she did. She contacted me to tell me that there was going to be an administrative assistant position opening in Augusta Clark's office. I faxed my resume to her chief of staff at the time, Julius Williams, on a Friday night, inquiring about the position. And he, in turn, called me that evening and asked me to come in the next day. I started protesting like, hey, dude, don't you know it's a Friday night? I'm about to go hang out and you want me to come in for an interview. He says, well, I work on Saturdays. And if you're interested in working in City Hall, I'll see you tomorrow. Needless to say, I came down here and after sitting with him for a little while, I asked him, how long are you going to be here? Because I need to have your job. We laughed about it, and we also squabbled over the pay that he wanted to give me. So Stan, I left City Hall that afternoon believing that I would not have the job. But now this is dating myself. By the time I got home, he had left a message on my answering machine, not only offering me the job, but paying me more than I had originally expected. So that was my beginning. I came and did secretarial services and constituent services for Augusta Clark for about 12 years. And I learned an awful lot about politics, the players in the city, dealing with how things are done, and just wetting my feet and getting all the information that I could possibly gain from Augusta Clark. And she was a dynamic woman, a whiz with words, a whiz with expressing herself. And I admired that tremendously. When she made the decision to resign, I decided that I wanted to stay here, and I went and asked for a meeting with Marion Tasco. And to my surprise, she was delighted to bring me on board on her staff. The only thing that she asked me to do was not to tell her staff how much I made. because I was being well taken care of by the Honorable Augusta Clark. I ended up staying with Marion Tasco for a total of 14 years. And I went from doing constituent services for her to becoming the director of constituent services. During my tenure there, I met the distinguished gentleman by the name of Derek Green. Derek came into our office during the period of predatory lending that was happening here in the city of Philadelphia. And he was very instrumental in writing the laws and legislation that was necessary to stop that type of predatory behavior. Our former councilwoman, Sherelle Parker, was a victim of that, and she was on our staff as well. Councilwoman Marion Tasker was very instrumental in spreading this information across the United States from the different organizations that she was a member of, and having all the right people sign on to make it a law that people will no longer have to suffer from bankers and real estate agents giving them properties that they know they could not afford, or loans that they knew that they could not repay because of balloon payments at some point during the loan. Derek and I became fast friends, and we started discussing him running for office. When Tasco decided to retire, and the opportunity came available for Derek to run for a council at large seat because James Kinney resigned to run for mayor, I told Derek that I would follow and support him if I became his chief of staff. And Derek held on to that commitment to me, and I was his chief of staff for 7 years until he resigned to try to run to be our next 100th mayor here in the city of Philadelphia. And I currently hold his seat, which I gained through a special election here in Philadelphia this past November. So I'm pretty excited. I often say that now that every day is like Christmas here, because it's a privilege to serve the city of Philadelphia in this capacity, and I'm at the height of my career at this point, and I'm looking forward to the next several months until 2024 and the next administration takes over.
So that is a great story, but you know what I'd really like for you to speak about, if possible? In the age of empowerment, especially for women,
Yes.
minority women, can you talk about some of your academic background? Because I need for our audience to understand this is about hard work and not necessarily having to go to Cornell University to get a doctoral degree to do this work. It's about the dedication and hard work and sticking to the plan. So first and foremost, what school did you go to, from elementary school here in Philadelphia through high school?
Okay, Stan, I started at St. Elizabeth Parochial School at 23rd and Berks, Montgomery and Berks. I left there and went to John W. Hallahan. I graduated from there, and then I got an associate's degree from a satellite school, which was called Bradford University. I graduated their extracurricular program, where I worked for a prominent CPA firm here in Philadelphia, which is called Arthur Anderson. They no longer exist because of Enron. And I went from there to, I would go to school a week and I would go to a class a week. And then I would go from there to working for different places. And so it wasn't a lot of college for me. It was more so learning the work, staying until it's done, and oftentimes working late nights and weekends.
So the main reason why I wanted you to point that out, because I wanted your constituency to understand that you're not from outside of the walls of Philadelphia. You've served your time inside of Philadelphia, walking these streets,
Yes.
being partners with neighbors, and just doing the work as, that's going to be our recurring theme.
Yes.
It's just performing, doing, and getting out there, being a person of your word.
Yes.
And I want my listeners to understand that I've known the council member for 20, 25 years.
Absolutely.
And I can absolutely tell them that without a shadow of a doubt, whenever I've needed to pick up the phone and call, you've always been responsive. You've always done what you could do. Whether or not you were able to help or not, it was about the communication and not ducking and running from the situation or the request, which is very important.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, a lot of our people in the city of Philadelphia feel as though people in City Hall don't do what they're supposed to be doing. And that's certainly not the case here. So, and I don't want to beat that point up because I tend to want to stay on the positive, and our
Right.
people need to know that there are folks out here who are working
Really care.
diligently
Yeah.
and care. I know that if you could, I know that you also prior to, or well, in conjunction with doing this here duty, I know that you served in the 42nd Ward.
Yes, I am the
Yes.
42nd
Okay.
Ward leader, which is, it goes from 5th and Alany on the east side to Hunting Park over to Whitaker Avenue. And the job of the ward leader is to make sure that every polling place within my ward is staffed. Every election, we vote twice a year, which a lot of people don't realize that there is an election every year, every May and every November. So it's important that our people pay attention to the fact that we don't just vote for presidents. You have, judges and the row offices and city council and your mayor that are constantly having elections. So that is my responsibility twice a year as a ward leader. Stan, I also serve as a delegate in the 3rd Senatorial District under our state senator, Sharif Street.
Okay.
And I am a part of the Philadelphia caucus, which the state of Pennsylvania has 66 counties. And I am a part of the Philadelphia caucus, and I also serve on the executive committee. I am what is called the Madam Chair for the senator. It is my responsibility to make sure that any information that needs to be brought from state level to Philadelphia, I make sure that happens. I also serve on the policy committee for the Democratic City Committee. It is the policies committee responsibility to select candidates that will be endorsed by the Democratic City Party, and I am one of the members on there.
Great. That's great information. So if I can transition to another hot button topic in Philadelphia, and as we are recording this podcast here, the city is in the process of mourning for the young Temple police officer who was mortally wounded in the last couple of days here in Philadelphia.
Yes.
And it's kind of difficult for me to deal with personally because this young man happened to work for me. Prior to going to Temple, he was a deputy sheriff.
Right.
So he literally, did a lot of work with me during my community events at food drives.
Mhm.
So I wanted to make sure that I referenced him to make sure
Yes.
that I paid some acknowledgement to his family. But I'd also like to ask you, do you have a plan or an idea or a suggestion, or what is the vision of gun violence? I mean, do we have some type of solution that you and some other council people have been discussing in regard to an initiative for that? I mean, there are a lot of initiatives already, but where are we going, to be quite frankly honest?
Stan, I myself personally has been working very closely with a district attorney. We also have a group that is meeting monthly called the Gun Violence Initiative, and we are diligently trying to find solutions to stop the gun violence. We're trying to stop the straw purchases. We are working hard on making sure that weapons do not get in the hands of children. And we are also looking at the other options or the other problems which have come from us coming out of the pandemic. So many people decided that they no longer wanted to be a part of the working community. They'd rather take what I'm calling the easy route. It may not be easy per se, but a lot of our youth have not returned to school. So they're out here creating havoc in the city of Philadelphia. So we have curfews that are being enforced. We have truancy officers that we're trying to make sure that they are out here in the community knocking on these parents' doors, giving them telephone calls. The most of the schools have a robocall system, so their parents will know when the children are not showing up to school, and hopefully that initiative will help us in narrowing down some of the problems that are happening throughout the city of Philadelphia on a daily basis. We want to punish anyone that should not have a gun or gives a gun to someone that shouldn't have it to the highest form of the law.
Sounds excellent. Sounds like something that's a monumental task, unfortunately, here in the city of Philadelphia, but we want to try to work our way through it. So, transitioning again to another very important topic, because I do know that you kind of stepped into this role here in midterm.
Yes.
Okay, so I know that you don't really have the full term to do every single or complete every single initiative that you have, but what is your short-term goals for your reign here in City Council?
Well, Stan, I'm priding myself in being the wild card. I plan to address all the issues that are taboo.
Such as?
For example, calling out the police officers that recently received revenue from the state for a nonprofit program that was called Gloves Up, Guns Down. They didn't use the money for that. Instead, they used the money to line their pockets. And that officer has been relieved from his position as a result of his bad behavior. Calling out the injustice of the Union League, allowing the governor of Florida to come here and receive their most prestigious award, knowing that he's a bigot, a racist, homophobic. Those kind of things that politicians kind of steer away from because they don't want to be enemies with people. I have nothing to lose, Dan, because as you know, I am not running for re-election. So I can speak on any issue that I feel deems my attention.
Well, I do want you to, I know it's your plan not to run again, but the citizens of Philadelphia may really need you to kind of steer the ship a little bit longer, because we need that voice that's not afraid to challenge systems and standards, status quo. So just think about that. That's a personal note, okay?
Yes, sir.
Because it's not about, sometimes, when we're all civil servants,
Correct.
and we stand on our own personal stuff sometimes, but we don't really understand how much the public really needs us.
Well, I don't plan to go away
Okay.
altogether. All the hats that I mentioned a few minutes ago, I still will be wearing. And I don't think I'm going to get too far away from the public government or dealing with city issues. I have been a servant all my life. Is what I know, is what I enjoy. And so many people rely on me on a daily basis, whether it's for personal issues or issues dealing with the city. They always have my number, and like you said, when you call on me, I answer. And if I don't answer, I'm calling you back. And if you call my office, or if you called any office that I've worked in, I am one, not only will I call you back, but I follow up and make sure that whatever you're requesting, you're getting if I can provide it to you. So I think my reputation is out here now more than ever. And believe it or not, Stan, some people that are looking to go to other offices are asking me what I consider joining their staff. So the options are there. It just has to be a good enough deal to make me not retire.
Well, we don't like to use the word deal, but does that make you like the, like I always refer to you, well, the guru? When you want to get connected, you need to talk to Sharon.
Yes.
That's what we say around the town, right?
Absolutely.
So tell me one thing that you would like to see happen for the future of Philadelphia. If you could single one thing out that you'd really like to see happen in the immediate for Philadelphia, speak on that
Yes.
briefly if you could.
One thing that's near and dear to my heart are the children, Stan. And we have to continue creating an environment for them to be the best adults that they possibly can be. We have to fix the buildings. We have to remove the asbestos. We have to make sure that they have qualified teachers there giving them the education that is going to make sure that they are prepared for the future.
So if I could stop you there for a second, because on my way here today, and I know this may put you on the spot, but just a thought as a parent, not
Yes.
as a council person, as a parent.
Yes.
I
Or
heard.
a grandparent.
Or a grandparent, yes, whose children attend a public school.
Yes.
And I must say from my own, as a retired school district employee, I personally believe if you work for the school district of Philadelphia, your children should be mandated to go to the school district of Philadelphia as a student. That's my personal soapbox. But on my way here, I heard them talking in regard to charter schools.
Yes.
And they were saying that of the 20% of charter schools that are occupied by African Americans or minorities, 80% of those schools are losing their charters. Unbelievable.
Yes,
Can you
yes.
speak to that, if you can, just
Well,
briefly about it?
I can speak on it a little bit. Some of them are losing their charters for various reasons. Leadership, finances.
Sure.
And although they're losing their charters, the school district are not losing the buildings. That they are coming back under the school district of Philadelphia.
Okay.
And also the charters are being taken by the school district because that's who grants them, because the children are not reaching the proper curriculum in their education. It's so important that in these charter schools used to be the where, you know, the place that we wanted to send our children because they were getting the better quality education. But for some reason that has slipped. And charter schools just don't have the resources, or that some of them, not all, have come under scandal, and they are not able to meet their obligations in keeping heat, running water, and things like that in their buildings. So there's a lot of reasons that they're losing their charters, and I want to see the public school continue to flourish.
I would tend to agree with you with those points. I think one of the things that we're not discussing is, like you said, initially the charter schools were viewed as a heaven
Yes.
and an alternative to other public schools. Now what has happened, I believe the research has caught up to the charter schools as well.
Yes.
And now people are starting to understand maybe it's not all that it was cracked up to be. So I think that could very well have some impact on the decisions that are being made with some of
Right.
those charter schools. So I'm glad that you answered that.
Because it's run like a business,
Yes.
and you know, and sometimes businesses have to do what's best for the business, and we don't want our children to ever be in a position where they're not getting what's best for them.
So lastly, are there any community events that you have coming up that you'd like for the public to know about, to participate in, and be aware of? If you could speak to that briefly, I would greatly appreciate that.
Sure. We have a seniors expo that we will have coming up shortly. I invite anyone to follow our my 42nd Ward page or to follow my city council pages on social media. I'm on all of the networks,
Such as,
Twitter.
what's your Facebook, what is it, council member Sharon Vaughn .com or at philip.com?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I like for the people to be able to have opportunity to reach your office.
Yes. Oh, please
that's
call
fine.
my office
Okay.
if you need our services.
Thank you.
And my door is always open here in City Hall, room 594. City Hall is my office room number, and my telephone number is 215-686-3450.
Well, Councilmember Vaughn, I am so glad that you took a few moments out of your busy day
Thank you.
to speak to myself directly and to the citizens of Philadelphia. I can tell them firsthand that, you know, I'm a great judge of character, and when I say things, I mean things. I mean, I could talk to a lot of people, but I wanted to talk to you and speak with you because I wanted people to hear your message, and your message is valid, it's legitimate, it's no fluff in it, you know, and I know that you care
Yes.
about the people in Philadelphia. So I want to make sure that I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you,
And
Steve.
once again, I want to thank you for all of your time, and I want you to have a blessed day, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you so much. Be well. All done?